Hello, my name is Joshua Mugabe. I welcome you to Excretory System. What is excretion? Excretion in the physiology is the process of elimination of metabolic wastes and other toxic substances from the body. What are the nitrogen wastes? Nitrogen wastes are residues derived from degradation of proteins. They are from chemical transformation of amine group and amino acid molecules. What are the three main types of nitrogen wastes excreted by living beings? The main nitrogen wastes excreted by living beings are ammonia, uric acid, and urea. Living beings can excrete ammonia are known as amniotic. Creatures that excrete uric acid are known as uricotelic, and organisms that excrete urea are called ureotelic. Why are most amniotic beings aquatic animals? Aquatic animals like crustacea, bonnefish, and amphibians, larvae, generally are amniotic since ammonia diffuses more easily through the membranes, and it is more water-soluble than other nitrogen wastes. Ammonia is still the most energetically economical nitrogen waste to be synthesized. Why, after the passage of animals from the aquatic to the terrestrial habitat, does the abandonment of the amniotic excretion occur? Ammonia is a highly toxic molecule if not diluted and quickly excreted out of the body. For this reason, amniotic excretion was abandoned in terrestrial habitats because of the availability of water for dilution is reduced in this medium, and wastes cannot be excreted so promptly to the exterior. Comparing toxicity and the need for dilution in water, how different are the eutelic and uricotelic excretions? What are some examples of animals that present the respective types of excretions? Urea is more soluble, water-soluble than uric acid, and almost insoluble substance. Urea is more toxic. Both, however, are less toxic than ammonia. Some invertebrates, chondrichthyre fish, adult amphibians, and mammals are ureotelic. Reptile, birds, and most arthropods are uricotelic. What is the nitrogen waste in amphibian larva and adult animal? Since amphibian larvae are aquatic, they excrete ammonia. The terrestrial adult excretes urea. Why is uricotelic excretion essential for avian and reptile embryos? Reptiles and birds' excretory system is uricotelic, since uric acid is insoluble, less toxic, and suitable to be stored within the eggs where their embryo develops. How do embryos of placental mammal excrete nitrogenous wastes? Placental mammal, including the embryos, excrete urea. In adult placental mammal, urea is excreted through urine. In the embryos, the molecule passes through the mother's blood, through the placenta, and it is excreted in the mother's urine. What is the main nitrogenous wastes in human? Human beings excrete urea eliminated with the urine. How is urea formed in human bodies? Urea is a product of degradation of amino acids. In the process, amino acid loses their amino group, which is then transformed into ammonia. The liver, ammonia reacts with carbon dioxide to form urea and water, and the process is called ureogenesis. In the intermediate reaction, the urinogenesis, a molecule of anethrin is consumed and another is produced. For this reason, ureogenesis is also known as anethrin cycle. Which are the organs of the excretory systems? The excretory system is formed of the kidneys, which are two, ureter, also two, a bladder, and a urethra. What are the vessels that carry blood to the kidneys? Is this blood arterial or venous? Arterial vessels that carry blood to be filtered by the kidneys, and the renal arteries. Renal arteries are ramification of the aorta, so the blood filtered by the kidney is arterial, which is oxygen-rich blood. What are the vessels that drain or filter the blood from the kidney? The venous vessels that collect blood filtered by the kidney are renal veins. Renal veins carry blood that has been reabsorbed in the nephron tubes. What is the functional unit of the kidneys? The functional or filtering unit of the kidney is the nephron. A nephron is made up of afferent arteriole, glomerulus, Bowman's capsule, proximal tube, loop of Henle, distal tube, and collecting duct. In each kidney, there are about 1 million nephrons. What are the three main renal processes that combine to produce urine? Urine is made up by the concurrence of three processes in the nephron: glomerular filtration, tubular reabsorption, and tubular secretion. In the nephron, blood is carried by the afferent arteriole, which enters into the glomerular capillary network, where it is filtered. The filtration implies that part of the blood returns to the circulation through afferent arteriole, and the other part, known as the glomerular filtrate, enters the proximal tube of the nephron. The nephron tubes, also known as convolutory tubes, substances of the glomerular filtrate like water, ions, and small organic molecules are reabsorbed by the cells of the tubules and gain the circulation. These cells also secrete other substances inside the tubes. The urine is formed of non-reabsorbed filtered substances, of secreted by the tubules substances. Urine is drained by the collecting duct to the ureter of each kidney. Then it enters the bladder, and later it is discharged through the urethra. The nephron tubes are surrounded by extensive capillary network that collects reabsorbed substances and provide others to be secreted. What is the main transformation presented by the glomerular filtrate in comparison to the blood? Glomerular filtrate is the name given to the plasma after it has passed through the glomerulus and entered in the Bowman's capsule. The glomerular filtrate has different composition compared to urine, since its fluid has not yet undergone tubular reabsorption and secretion. The main differences between the blood and glomerular filtrate is that the latter, which is glomerular filtrate, the amount of protein is at a minimum and there are no cells of blood platelets. What are proteinuria? Why is the proteinuria a sign of glomerular renal injury? Proteinuria means losing protein through urine. Under normal condition, proteins are too big to be filtered by the glomerulus, and they are practically absent in urine. A few filtered proteins may also be reabsorbed in the nephron tubules. Proteinuria is an indication that more than expected amount of protein is passing the glomerulus, suggesting glomerular disease, e.g. in diabetic nephropathy. The glomerulus also blocks the passage of blood cells and platelets. Hematuria is often a sign of urinary disease, though less specific of kidney, since the blood may come from the lower part of the excretory tract. Where does most of the water reabsorbed after the glomerular filtration go? What are the other substances reabsorbed by the nephron tubules? Only 0.5 to 1% of the glomerular filtrate is eliminated as urine. The remaining volume, containing metabolic ions, glucose, amino acid, water, is reabsorbed through the nephron tube by means of active and passive transport, and gains the blood circulation again. The convolutional tubes of the nephron are responsible for reabsorption of substances. Why do cells of the nephron tube present a great amount of mitochondria? The cells of the tubule have high number of mitochondria because many substances are reabsorbed and secreted through them by means of active transport, a process that spends energy. Therefore, many mitochondria are necessary for the energetic supply, that is ATP supply, for this type of transport. What is a tubular secretion? What are some examples of substances secreted through the renal tubules? Tubular secretion is the passage of substances from the blood capillaries that surrounds the nephron tubes to the tubular lumen of these substances to be excreted with urine. Ammonia, uric acid, potassium, bicarbonates, hydrogen ions, metabolic acid, and bases, various ingested drug, that is medicine, and other substances are secreted by the nephron tubes. Which nephron portion does the regulation of acidity and alkalinity of the plasma occurs? The regulation of acid-base equilibrium of the body is done by the kidneys and depends upon the tubular reabsorption and secretion. How do kidneys participate in the regulation of acid-base equilibrium of the body? How are alkalosis and acidosis respectively collected by the kidneys? Kidneys can regulate acidity or alkalinity of the plasma varying the excretion of hydrogen and bicarbonate ions. Alkalosis, abnormally high level of plasma pH, the kidney excretes more bicarbonates, and equilibrium of the formation of bicarbonate from the water and carbon dioxide shifts towards the formation of hydrogen ions and bicarbonate, and then the plasma pH is lowered. When the body undergoes acidosis, that is abnormal low level of plasma pH, the kidney excretes more hydrogen ions and retains bicarbonate as an equilibrium of the formation of bicarbonates from water and carbon dioxide shifts toward hydrogen consumption, and the plasma pH is increased. How do kidneys participate in blood volume control? How is the blood volume of the body relates to the arterial pressure? Kidneys and hormones that act upon them are mainly physiological regulators of the total blood volume of the body. As more water is reabsorbed in the nephron tubes and more blood volume increases, more water is excreted in urine and more blood volume lowers. The blood volume in its turn has a direct relation to blood pressure. Blood pressure increases when the blood volume increases. It lowers when the blood volume lowers. That is the reason why one of the main groups of antihypertensive drug is diuretics. Doctors often prescribe diuretics for hypertensive patients to excrete more water and thus lower their blood pressure. Which are the three hormones that participate in the regulation of renal function? Antidiuretic hormone, ADH or vasopressin, aldosterone, and atrionatriuretic factor, ANF, are hormones that participate in the regulation of the excretory system. What is the function of antidiuretic hormone? Where is it made, and which are the stimuli that increases or reduces its secretion? Antidiuretic hormone is secreted by the hypophysis, also known as the pituitary. It acts on the nephron tubes, increasing reabsorption of water. When the body needs to retain water, for example, in case of blood loss, abrupt blood pressure lowering, in the case of abnormal high blood osmolality, there is stimulus for ADH secretion. When the body has excess of water, as in the case of excessive ingestion or in abnormal low blood osmolality, and secretion of ADH is blocked and diuresis increases. And diuretic hormone is also known as vasopressin, since it increases the blood volume and thus heightens the blood pressure. Why does the ingestion of alcohol increases diuresis? Alcohol inhibits the secretion of antidiuretic hormone by the pituitary gland. That is why when it is drunk to excess, the person urinates too much. How does aldosterone act where it is produced? Excuse me. Aldosterone is a hormone that acts upon the nephron tubule, stimulating the reabsorption of sodium. Therefore, it contributes to increase in the blood osmolality and consequently to increase the blood pressure. Aldosterone is made by the adrenals glands located over the superior portion of the kidney. What is an evolutionary explanation hypothesis for the secretion by the heart of a hormone that regulates the renal function? What is that hormone? The renal regulator hormone secreted by the heart is the natriuretic factor, ANF, which increases the excretion of sodium ions in the nephron tube, causing less reabsorption of water and more urine volume, and thus lowering the blood pressure. The natriuretic factor is secreted when there is an increase in the length of heart muscle fiber in response to high blood pressure. ANF is a natural antihypertensive substance. Since the health of the heart depends largely upon the stability of the normal blood pressure, evolution should have preserved the natriuretic factor to allow information from the heart to be additional mechanism for the renal control of the blood pressure. What is hemodialysis? Hemodialysis is an artificial blood filtration made by specific machines in substitution of the kidneys. Hemodialysis may also be necessary in patients suffering from the diseases that cause renal failure, like diabetic renal complications, lupus, renal complication, and others. During hemodialysis, the blood of the patient is deviated in the filtering machine. After filtration, it returns back to the body. Hemodialysis is generally 2 or 3 or more times a week, in the process that takes several hours. Sometimes kidney transplantation is an alternative to hemodialysis. Thank you very much for participating in the Excretory System. Please do like, share, and subscribe.